Hey guys, Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. I just want to show you guys something that's kind of interesting here. I'm inside of the farmhouse that was built in the early 1900s. I think 1906 or 1908. I can't remember which one. But this is actually the attic. When we ended up renovating this, of course, they didn't have air conditioning, so we put a unit here, and we put a unit that's actually on the lower level. But what I wanted to show you is framing that was done well over 100 years ago. And take a look at this, because here you have, okay, there's no plywood. There's no plywood except what was put on, of course, after the fact, years later. This was the original lumber that was used to frame this up. You see 2x4s that were literally 2 inches by 4 inches. Some of them still have actually a little bit of a rough cut to it. But look at the boards that were before we had plywood. You see here, that's the bark line right there on it. And you can still see those boards are still solid as a rock. In fact, one of the biggest problems I've had when I've been working on these old houses like this is some of the 2x4s are actually oak. And when you go to put a screw in there, more times than not, that screw will actually break off in there. So as you look at this is all original. And this will still be here for another 100 years. Take a look at this. That's an old cut nail. That's actually like a handmade nail right there. So it's kind of cool when you see lumber like this that was originally done. So this would have been probably the original part of the house, and then they came through and they put this part on a little bit later. You know, when you do something right the first time, it'll stand the test of time. And for me, this actually, working on old houses, is therapeutical. And it also makes me feel like a link in the chain. There were people here 110 years ago building this. I'm now related to those guys as well, because I've come through to kind of continue what they started. And maybe 100 years from now, somebody else will be in here doing the same thing I am, restoring and holding on to a piece of history. That's why I love these old houses, man, because, you know, when you look at rafters and things, they're all spit out now in a factory. They've got all these metal, fasteners and stuff for it. But you look at this, the way this was built, you've got all of this room in here that's usable. It's solid as a rock. And it's actually like a piece of art. Yeah. I think I'm an old soul, so to speak. Actually, now that I've changed the filter in here, it would have been nice if you had turned this thing the other way. But you can get a look at the space that's up here. That's been here for a long, long time. And I plan on it being here for a long time as well. And to think, this house sat vacant for about 15 years. And people wanted to tear it down. And instead, for the last 12 years, it's been a great home for 2 families. And that's what it's all about.